There are certain figures in pop culture whose influence stretches far beyond the industry they came from. People who became symbols of strength, reinvention, and resilience. And among them, few names carry the same impact, the same presence, the same unmistakable legacy as Lisa Ann. To understand her story, you have to look beyond the persona, beyond the pop culture references, beyond the stereotypes that the world projected onto her. You have to look at the journey itself, the long, winding, complicated path of a woman who learned to survive, adapt, rebuild, and rise again, no matter how many times life shifted beneath her feet. Lisa Ann was born on May 9, 1972, in Easton, Pennsylvania. Her childhood wasn't the glamorous beginning people would imagine. She grew up in an ordinary neighborhood, raised by parents who worked long hours to support their family. From a young age, Lisa understood responsibility. She saw how hard work shaped her home, how survival demanded focus and courage. These early lessons would become some of the most defining parts of her adult life. By her late teens, she was already independent, determined, and eager to make her own way in the world. She built a reputation for being strong-willed and business-minded, qualities that would later push her far beyond acting and into entrepreneurship, broadcasting, and leadership. But long before she became a cultural figure, she was simply a young woman trying to navigate life with limited resources and big ambitions. Lisa Ann entered the entertainment industry in the early 1990s. She was still nearly a teenager, young, inexperienced, and suddenly surrounded by a world that moved fast and demanded even faster decisions. And while the environment she stepped into was intense and often unforgiving, she quickly proved that she was more than just another newcomer. She was smart, observant, strategic, and she paid close attention to an industry that very few people ever truly understand. Her early years were a whirlwind of opportunity mixed with pressure. Fame arrived suddenly, not gradually, not over decades, suddenly. Within a short time, Lisa Ann had become one of the most recognizable faces in the business. But fame, especially this kind of fame, is complicated. It comes with assumptions, misconceptions, judgments, and expectations. It was a spotlight that illuminated her, but it also cast long shadows. By the mid-90s, after several intense years in the limelight, Lisa Ann made a decision very few performers ever make. She walked away. Not out of failure, not out of scandal, but out of self-preservation. She needed peace. She needed time. She needed space to remember who she was underneath the persona the world had created. For nearly a decade, she stayed away from cameras. She worked behind the scenes, managed clubs, learned the business side of entertainment, and rebuilt her sense of self. Many people assumed she was gone forever, but Lisa Ann was not someone who disappeared. She was someone who rebuilt. And when she returned in 2006, she didn't just re-enter the industry, she reinvented it. Her comeback was one of the most successful and most talked about in modern adult entertainment history. She had matured, she had evolved, she knew the business better than anyone, and within a few years, she wasn't just a performer, she was a leader, a mentor, a brand, a pop culture icon. But what truly cemented her legacy wasn't just her performances, it was her willingness to expand far beyond them. Lisa Ann became a businesswoman, a talent recruiter, a director, a radio host, a podcast personality, a voice for safety and self-advocacy in an industry where those conversations were long overdue. She used her platform to speak openly about health, consent, financial planning, and mental well-being, topics rarely discussed publicly at the time. She lived through the chaotic early years of an industry that had almost no protections, no education, and no long-term stability for the people within it. And rather than stay silent about what she saw, she chose to help others learn from her experience. Her honesty made her controversial at times, admired at others, but no matter what people thought, they listened. Because Lisa Ann wasn't speaking from theory, she was speaking from survival. And then, once again, at the height of her success, she made the same bold choice she made years earlier. She retired. This wasn't a quiet exit. It was intentional, thought out, empowered. She wanted a life beyond the camera. She wanted to explore broadcasting, sports journalism, and new business ventures. She wanted to write, to speak publicly, to mentor, to live a life defined by her choices rather than her image. And she did exactly that. Lisa Ann broke into mainstream sports culture through radio and podcasts, becoming known for her sharp analysis and humor. She built one of the most successful fantasy sports shows in the country. She wrote a best-selling memoir. She became an advocate for performers' rights, using her voice to push for safer, healthier working conditions. She also became a figure of empowerment for people who felt overlooked or dismissed, especially women in industries dominated by judgment and stigma. She spoke openly about boundaries, independence, discipline, and self-worth. She talked about rebuilding, reinventing, and refusing to let your past dictate your value. To many, Lisa Ann's legacy is tied to the industry she came from. But to the people who have followed her for decades, her legacy is something far greater. A story of reinvention, a story of resilience, a story of refusing to be defined by others, a story of survival in a business that consumes most of its stars. A story of a woman who kept rewriting her life every time someone tried to write it for her. And today, looking back across the decades of her career, her influence reaches far beyond entertainment. She became a cultural reference point, a meme, a headline, a voice, a leader, and, for many, an example of how to take control of your own story. What makes Lisa Ann's journey so remarkable isn't the fame. It's the strength it took to carry it, the maturity it took to walk away, and the courage it took to return on her own terms, not once, but twice. Her life is proof that a legacy is not built by the role the world gives you, but by the role you choose for yourself. And in the end, Lisa Ann chose to be more than a performer. She chose to be a voice, a guide, a symbol of resilience. And that is the legacy of Lisa Ann, a legacy defined not by the cameras, but by everything she built when the cameras were gone.
Thank you for watching. If this journey through time stirred something in you, subscribe to Retrovidia, where we keep the stories of the golden age alive, one memory at a time.